Kal Kadosh, Boker Tov. I wanted to share with you a beautiful idea on Sukot. When we're talking about Sukot, Sukot is very, very important. It's very special. One of the reasons why it's very special is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually tells us that when we go out to the Sukkah and we go out to Galut, that this actually acts as an atonement for us. Because if Chas Shalom, we were decreed upon that we had to go into exile, our Sukkah becomes our safe haven. Our Sukkah becomes our exile, that we are considered that we went to exile. And therefore, it actually helps us a lot. Right? This is the famous Sukkah that we go to. But it's actually also something very, very important. It's a hidden message which we have to understand. We just finished with Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. And hopefully on Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, we realize that first of all, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the King of Kings. Everything belongs to Him. We are His servants. We are the ones which are serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But even more so, what we have to understand though is that we have to pay less attention to the physicality, right? In the previous shiur, we just finished speaking about that we're not roosters, but we're eagles, right? This we actually learn from the Sukkah. Why do we learn this from the Sukkah? The first time that the Sukkah is mentioned, right, the Tur actually brings us down. The Tur says, in the name of Yehuda's brother, that Sukkot, each one of the Chagim are parallel to one of the fathers, one of their forefathers. So Pesach is Avraham Avinu because of Emunah, because of Chesed, right? And that's the entire concept of Pesach. Shavuot is Yitzchak Avinu, right? And Yaakov Avinu is Sukkot. Why? Because it says in the Torah that he went and he made Sukkot, right? Right? He went and he made a house and he made a Sukkot for his mikneh, for his cattle. And there, Oziel actually says, what does it mean here? They made a mikneh. What does it mean? So he says he made a house for the Bet HaMidrash. And for his cattle, he made a sukkah. What does that mean? Anything which is fixed is your house. That's also the Bet HaMidrash. The Bet HaMidrash is something fixed, right? But anything which is going to be physical, your cattle, your possessions, your money, that he made it like a sukkah. A sukkah is not something which is here all the time. A sukkah is, even if you make it mamasha, as long as it withstands a normal wind, it's kosher. It's not supposed to be something, a building. It's a building and close. No, it's pasul. You can't do that. It has to be something which is not going to be like that. It could be, you could have good walls and everything, 100%, but it's something which is called dirat arai, something which is not physical, it's not made to stay, right? You could leave it there the entire time, but it's not something which is made to stay. It's something which is going to be like, just by the way. Why? Because basically what the rabbis are trying to tell us is that at the end of the day, what you're supposed to do is pay attention only to one thing, the spirituality. The physical is nothing. We actually spoke about this a few years ago. I think it was 5 years ago. It was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, what happened was that there was a hurricane coming to Miami. I don't remember if it was Irma, I don't remember the name. What happened is that everybody ran away. Right? You had to see the amount of people. People went to Alabama, to Atlanta, to Georgia, to New York, to Los Angeles. I remember it was something incredible that you were trying to look for tickets online. You used to put the ticket. By the time you went to the next page, you already filled that information. By the time you went to pay, it said, sorry, the price already changed. It went up like by a few $100s. You tried to do it again, and again, the exact same thing. Again, and the exact same thing. Again, there was too many people booking flights. I remember for ourselves, we had to book flights out of Orlando, not even out of here. We had to drive to Orlando, get out from Orlando. We tried Los Angeles. It was already out. It was New York was already taken. It was something crazy. Everybody left everything behind. When we came back, and that was it was right before, that was during Elul. It was even before Rosh Hashanah. So when we came back, I went and I told everyone, by the way, you should know, we just felt what it is Sukkot. Why do we feel what it is Sukkot? Because everything that you have, a person could lose in 2 minutes. In 2 minutes. Think about it. Babanotenu Arabim, right? Bar Minan, what happened now in, whether it was in Tampa or, all these places, everything was destroyed in this past hurricane now. Destroyed. Houses, middle of the street. Everything moved. They lost everything. What does that show a person? That shows a person that when a person has to run, what does he have? He has the most important things in his hand. That's it. He has the hand luggage, halvai, and he goes, and that's it. There's nothing else. So what? Everything which is physical is not really theirs. It's olam hasheket. We're living in a world which everything is false. Why is it false? We think that it belongs to us. but it doesn't belong to us. How many people in the Holocaust did they lose everything that they had, every penny, and they tried getting it back afterwards? There was nothing what to talk about. They lost everything. It could have been for generations. It could have been for, it doesn't matter. Because really, be'emet, that's not what a person has to focus on in life. Sukkot is coming and teaching us. You want to be b'tzila de menuta. You want to be in the tzela ve'emunah. How do you have emunah? Emunah means HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm 100% yours. Everything else, yeah, it's true. You could have a nice house, you could have a nice car, you could have a nice boat and a nice plane also. But it's nothing really, because it's not really yours. People come and they can make and lose in 5 minutes and they can do everything. And that's why it's so important that the mitzvah of Sukkah is trying to teach us, forget the physicality. Wake up to the spirituality. Where else do you see this? There's a famous question, what do we do Sukkot for? Do we do Zecher Anei Kavod or Zecher Sukkot Mamash? We do it for the Anei Kavod. What does it mean Anei Kavod? When we came out of Egypt, we had the clouds of glory, and they surrounded us and they protected us, just like we spoke about before to do with the eagle. So they protected us on all the sides. It was in the front, in the back, right? They used to level out the mountains and used to level out the plains. They used to clean our clothing. It was something incredible. It protected us from enemies, from scorpions, from anything that you wanted. It was a protection, right? So we come and we do Zecher Anei Kavod to remember Anei Kavod, the clouds of glory. We do Sukkot. So everyone asks, 1 second, how many miracles were there in the desert? There was Zecher Anei Kavod, right, which was basically for Aaron HaKohen, right? You had Zecher Laman. The man is the food, the manna for Moshe Rabbeinu, and the drink. What was the drink? The Be'er of Miriam, right? The well of Miriam. So now the question is, why are we doing a Chag only for Anei Kavod? Why are we doing a Chag for the food, for the drink, right? Why are you for Moshe Rabbeinu? Why are you only doing it for the Anei Kavod? So there's many different answers. One answer wants to say, right, 1 second. Yeah. One's physical, one's spiritual, right? That's the real answer. That's one of the answers. What does that mean? The physical, we don't make a remembrance for it. The spiritual is what we make a remembrance. The Zecher Anei Kavod was the Shekhinah. That's what we're remembering, right? Why? Because we need that, right? We need the spiritual. And that's why Sukkot is actually hinting to that. But even more than that, right? There's also another essence. Do you know that David Elmaleh, he went and he killed Goliath? When he went to kill Goliath, right, what happened? He went and he had the slingshot, right, and he had the 5 pieces of stones. They actually say that those stones were the stones that we used for Brit Milah. Each one, whether it was for Avraham Avinu, for Yitzchak, for the Brit Milah. Yaakov didn't have because he was born already with the Brit Milah. And then he went and he made a deal, right, with the Malach, which is in charge of the metal. And he told the Malach, which is in charge of the metal, he went and he told him, if you're going to reveal the forehead of Goliath, when I'm going to hit with the stone, instead of doing Brit Milah now with stones, because until then, it was always done with stones. Even Sipporah did for her own son of Moshe Rabbeinu when the Malach came and swallowed him up with a stone. So he says, instead of using a stone, we're now going to use metal. And that's why today the minhag is to use a metal and not to use a stone. Think about it. If they always use stones, why do they change to metal? Because David Elmaleh made he made a guarantee to the malach of metal. From now on, we're going to do Brit Milah with metal, only because he's going to reveal the forehead, because he was in armor from head to toe. The only thing you could see was his eyes, right? That's what was of Goliath. So all of a sudden, right, it removed the metal condensed, it went up. And then when he hit him, he killed him, right? That's what happened when he killed Goliath. Now, something incredible also, what happened is like this. David Elmaleh comes without any armor, and he comes to fight against Goliath, and he kills him. If you're right here, sitting down, you take a ball, and you throw it, and it hits someone, automatically, what's going to happen? They're going to fall forwards or backwards? Backwards. Right? Why backwards? With the hit of the impact, it's going to go down. It's going to go backwards. Goliath was hit, and he fell forwards. Why did he fall forwards? So David Elmaleh didn't have to walk so far in order to cut off his head. Yeah, mamash. He fell forwards. Yeah, he fell forwards. So David Elmaleh was mamash, like that. So what happened? That is called extra, above and beyond. Do you know right? Imagine right now you see a woman, right, that she comes and she's taking care of babies. Yeah? And she comes and she changes the diaper of a baby. How do you know if it's her own child or it's not her own child? How do you know if it's just like a babysitter or whatever it is, or if it's her own child? You know what it is? It's when she finishes changing the child, she'll give the baby a kiss. What does that mean? Because she's showing an extra love. The food and the drink, we had to have it. If we didn't have food and drink in the desert, we were going to die. The Shrat HaShekhinah, the divine providence of Hashem, when he was going to put his Shekhinah amongst us, we didn't need to have. That was extra. That was the kiss that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to us. Sukot is zecher to that kiss. Sukot is what we have to remember, that we come and we say to ourselves, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you showed us your love. Here we are. We want that love again. We're going out of our houses. We're trying to get out of the physicality, because once you're too much in the physicality, we can't love anymore. We're too much indulged, right, in our physical. It's impossible. So therefore, what happens, right? So therefore, it's important for us to remember, right, that what we're supposed to do. So we come and we say, this is a kiss of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why we do Sukkot, Zecher Ne'akavod. Another place where we see this is from the mitzvah Lulav and Etrog. The mitzvah Lulav and Etrog, right, is Gedelim Alamayim, right? It grows on the water. Yeah, but do you know, right, why do we do the Lulav and Etrog now? Because we wanted to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we just came out of war and we won. Look, we have our sword, we have our shield, right? We have everything. We won our war. But when are we doing this? The mitzvah Sukkah. Why the mitzvah Sukkah? Because we come and we take everything, we're believing on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We know that the water depends on you. Now we're being judged on water. Everything depends on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we come and we shake it. We say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, everything is yours. All the winds, when we come and we do all the, right, all the Oshanot, we take away all the hurricanes, we take away all the winds, we take away all these things. Why? Because we're coming, we're doing Oshanot. But when are we doing Sukkot and the Lulav and Etrog? Chag HaAsif. What is Chag HaAsif exactly? Imagine right now, right, it wasn't like nowadays. Nowadays, usually you get a paycheck. Some people get it quarterly, some people get it fortnightly, some people get it to once a month, some people weekly, some people get it daily. Imagine right now you got a paycheck once a year. Once a year you get a paycheck. Even if it's going to be for a few days, you get a paycheck once a year. So imagine, you know how happy it is? Payday, right? Everyone's happy on payday. You come and you see everyone's happy, right? Even though, right, usually the people are happy and their employers are sad. I actually once had an employer that was the exact opposite. He went and he told me that every single time he used to give a check, right, he always had a smile on the face. So they went and they told him, I don't understand you. You're the exact opposite of everybody else. Everybody else, if you have to pay somebody, you're going to be sad. Well, you're happy. Why are you happy? You're paying your employees. So he said the opposite. You know why I'm happy? Because now I don't owe you anything. Beforehand, I owed you. Now I paid you off. So now I'm happy. That's why I'm happy. Because I paid you. I don't owe you anything anymore. So I'm the happiest person alive. That's the way that it is. So what happens? He comes and he says, during Sukkot, it was Chag HaAsif. We just planted. We just did everything. When are you collecting all your produce? Right? In the wintertime. Chag HaAsif, now, during Sukkot. So we used to come, we used to gather all the produce together. So imagine right now how happy you are. You got your page, you got everything. You just collected all the food and the grains and everything. So what happens? So says the rabbis, we didn't want, this is the chinuch. He comes and he says, we didn't want you to be happy in something physical. Because physical happiness never brings true happiness. We wanted you to be happy in something spiritual. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the mitzvah of Sukkah, of Lulav and Etrog, of all these things. Why? In order that our main happiness is something spiritual. If our main happiness is going to be in something spiritual, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, don't worry about it. You guys have everything. Don't worry. I'm going to give it to you. And then it's going to be forever. Because spiritual happiness is only happiness which sticks. It's only happiness which stays. Right? Why? Because that's so important. So again, this is also one of the reasons why it's so important. The Sukkah in itself is a segula for Shalom, for peace. It says the Kav HaChaim, anybody that's careful in mitzvah Sukkah to do it properly, muftach lo shelo tiyeh meriva betoch beto kol ota shana. Shalom bayit, you just heard. I could sell it for a lot of money. You do a proper Sukkah, you have guaranteed Shalom bayit for the entire year. Guaranteed Shalom bayit for the entire year. The Chidah, the Rav Chidah comes and he says in the name of Rabbi Shimon Mastropoli, a beautiful remez in the word sukkah. Sukkah is the numerical value of 91, which is basically adnut and avaya together. The name of Ammonai, Aleph Dal Nun Yud, 65, plus Yud Kevavke, 26, 91. Okay? Now, if you're going to come and you're going to actually double them, right? The letters of Shem Avaya and Shem Adnut, according to, so for example, you're going to do, right, like this. You're going to do, Klomar, the Yod, right? You're going to times it, right, once. The Hey, you're going to times it by 4, right? The Vav by 50, right? And the Hey by 6, by 10. Meaning what you did was that you took Yud Ke Vav Ke and Aleph Dal Nun Yud. So you take Yod, the letter Yod of Havaya, of Yud Ke Vav Ke, you're timesing it by the Aleph of Ammonai. The Hey of Yud Ke Vav Ke, you're timesing by 4 of the Daled of Ado, right? The Vav, right, of Yud Ke Vav Ke, by the Nun. If you're going to do that, it comes out to 380. The numerical value of Shalom with the word Shalom is 380. So therefore, you actually have the name of Hashem, right? You have the name of Hashem, right, in the Sukkah, right? That's why we know that the name of Hashem is in Sukkah, right? That's why it's so important also about even bringing Goyim into the Sukkah and other things. Why? Because you have the name of Hashem there. You're not supposed to speak Lashon Hara. You're never supposed to speak Lashon Hara, but especially in the Sukkah. You understand there's certain things. Sukkah is something holy. It's something of Kiddusha. Why? Because it has the name of Hashem, right? But he says, not only does it have the name of Hashem, he comes and he says it brings Shalom also. So when a person comes and they're going to do the Sukkah properly, they are going to have Shalom.